Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am sick and tired of playing against the same person every time I boot up this game. Two DMs, two fullbacks on defend, everybody getting back and leaving one player up top to counter and forcing it up the middle as quickly as they can. Well, this week I've come up with a counter to it. And not only that, it's incredibly fun to play. It takes advantage of wide overloads, it takes advantage of the half spaces, and not only that, it's really solid defensively. This week, we're going to be looking at Antonio Conte's 3-4-2-1 and how it translates into FC26. Let's take a look. So, I want to do a little bit of the background here of how Conte's Chelsea came to be, because it is probably one of the most tactically significant Premier League seasons that we've seen. It'll give it you in a concise but detailed timeline of how it developed and how Chelsea won the league. So, Conte came in summer of 2016 after managing Italy at the Euro 2016 tournament. Tactical organisation is 3-5-2 shape, really impressed despite the limited talent of the Italian squad. Now, the club had finished 10th under Mourinho the year before, who got sacked mid-season. Gus Hiddink came in, the dressing room was fractured, inconsistent intensity and an ageing core. He inherited some incredible players like Thibaut Courtois in goal. He had Hazard, Fabregas, Costa, Willian and Pedro. Bought in Kante, bought in Alonso, which was obviously two incredible players to bring in for the system. But Conte didn't start in the 3-4-2-1. He started in a 4-1-4-1 with a back four of Azpilicueta at left back, Cahill and Terry as the centre backs, and Ivanovic at right back, Kante anchoring, and Hazard and Willian wide. And the idea behind this was to maintain a bit of a base that the players knew under Mourinho. The problems, though, were that Chelsea conceded far too easily in transitions because it relied a lot on Hazard tracking back and helping out Azpilicueta. The midfield often got bypassed. Kante did cover a lot of ground but was isolated on his own. Hazard tracked tightly, and Alonso and Ivanovic, and Azpilicueta as well, gave no real width or overlapping threat at the time. Did win their first three games narrowly against West Ham, Watford and Burnley, and then lost 2-1 to Liverpool and were absolutely ripped apart by Arsenal. It was 3-0 at half-time at the Emirates, and that was the turning point. Conte brought on Marcos Alonso, dropped Ivanovic, moved Azpilicueta into the back three, and changed into that 3-4-3 shape, and it stuck. From that moment on, Chelsea didn't lose a single league game until January, and the roles that it came in was that Alonso and Moses, who was a winger, then came in to be the wing-backs, stretched play and provided constant width. Kante and Matic in the pivot created balanced aggression and ball circulation, and a front three of Hazard and Pedro, tucking into the half spaces behind Diego Costa, enabling quick combinations. With the back three as well, as Piliqueta stepped out to help build, Luiz played as a sweeper and allowed Gary Cahill to be what he is, a stay-at-home defender. It worked because there was structural balance. The 3-4-3 gave both defensive solidity and attacking freedom. With the wing-backs, opponents struggled to track them. They created overloads wide and released Hazard centrally. Press resistance as well, with Luiz's distribution and as Piliqueta's mobility, improved the build-up tenfold. You got Kante's coverage as well, allowing Hazard and Pedro to stay high, but also the team were compact. Conte drilled the team to shift as one 10-man block went out of possession, extremely Italian in the discipline. The outcome was that Chelsea went on a 13-game winning streak, setting a record for the Premier League at the time. Finished champions with 93 points. Hazard and Costa revitalised. Moses reinvented as a wing-back. And as Piliqueta became one of the best hybrid centre-back, right-back profiles in the league. Conte was absolutely hailed for bringing the back three revolution back to English football, with many clubs such as Spurs, Arsenal, City, and even England later on copying it and finding it as a blueprint for success. Now, later on, obviously 2017-18, teams did begin to adapt. Chelsea shifted between the 3-4-3 and the 3-5-2, with Fabregas deeper, Hazard close to Morata, but they did lack the same intensity that they had in 16-17. Despite winning the FA Cup, friction with the board and transfer frustrations did lead to Conte's exit in summer 2018, but needless to say, the 16-17 was an absolute watershed season for the three-back coming back into English football. Now, what we're going to do is have a look at the tactical board and show how this could be played and situations where you might find yourself in build-up or in defence that we might be able to help you out with. Right, so welcome to the tactical board, and this is going to be the stage of all of these videos where we go into a little bit more depth about the build-up, about the defensive style, how we can counter certain formations, all that sort of stuff. So, as you can see here, this is a prime situation where you're going to be playing up against somebody that is trying to play really narrow. 4-1-2-1-2 narrow is something we're seeing quite a lot. Fullbacks on defence, they're going to be really deep, and this is where you are in your build-up. So you've got the ball with your middle centre-back, and they are going to be the fulcrum of everything here. So you've got a choice here. They can either press here, and you've got a free ball out to the 6. They can press here, and you've got a free ball out to the wings. Or they can press here, and you've got a ball out to the 2. Now, there is something else they could do. They could easily shift these over here like this, and then come at you. And then there's only one defensive midfielder, and then you've got a direct ball into one of your midfielders. So that's how you'd break the press, because people aren't going to press you too high in a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. They are going to let you come to them. But there is another option, which is a 4-2-1-3. Now, naturally, they're going to sit like this with the DMs on the 10s, and you've got a free man in here. Now, because you've got a free man in here, and this is why you need somebody with a great passing range, you can bypass this man. Because this man's free, and likely they're going to be controlling one of these, right? You can go into here, into the 8. You can go long into the 7. You can go long into the 3. Or, if you've got a big enough player, you can go super long into your striker, who can then knock that ball down, and then you've got advancing players here and here to support. So that is where I would be looking in terms of build-up. Now, one important thing to notice, and one important thing to note in general, is when you have got the ball here and you've got the ball into midfield, they're going to be getting up there like that. They might be dropping off a little bit, and they might be getting into this space. And the reason is because you've got playmaker on balance here. So they're going to be dropping into this space, hovering around this player. So they're not going to know whether to press you here or not, because they can cover that and they can cover that, and they might be able to cover that, which is fine. But then you've got this player up here, so he's covered. Now you've got a 10 who's going to be free. Do they want to press the ball? Fine. You'll go into the 4. They'll press up here. You've got a ball out to there. And then you've got a free man. And this is one thing that you're always going to have in this formation, because whilst you've got six back for him, effectively, and they'll pull 6 back here, you'll advance forward. You've got 7 forward. A lot of people are bringing their cam really deep as well, but they're not kind of getting involved in defensive actions. It's just for that out ball for the counter. But you've got 3 versus 3 at the back here, which is always great. That's what you want. But then on a turn, if you do tend to lose the ball like this, you just shift back. Always shift back with that player and screen your back 3. Because the last thing that you want is to be a man down in transition. That is something that you really, really do not want to be looking at. So we will bin this off, and we'll show you again a couple of things that you can do to get the best out of this formation, especially in defensive areas, because you're going to be in a spot quite a lot where you're in deep like this, and it looks like there's not a lot to do. There's not a lot you can really go wrong with, and I'd agree, and I think it's quite a foolproof formation in that sense, because they're always going to look to get up there like this. He's going to look to drive into this area. He's going to occasionally drop in deep, but then he can go either that way or that way, with him sort of sitting in this hole here. They're always going to look to try and sit in this middle-ish area, and they're going to push on a little bit into that half space. But defensively, they're always going to be nice and solid. They might push in a little bit here, and they come across a little bit, so you're a little bit asymmetrical. But this guy here is going to be a sweeper. So if anything comes in behind, if the ball comes in behind down here, let me just get rid of all the lines. If the ball, you've got the ball over here, and immediately you lose it, and somebody's looking for that counter ball down into this channel, they've got a winger down here. This player can just shift over. But then what you want to do, and one thing that you need to make sure that you're doing, is tracking back with this right centre mid. This right centre mid is going to be the key to getting you to reset. The last thing that you want to do, if you've got the 2 up here and you've got your sweeper, you don't want to be dragging your sweeper across to then drag him across, because then you've got a big hole here at the back post that you do not want to have. So, the way that you're going to defend that is you move him back with this guy, covering that half space. And a lot of the time here, you're not looking to make a tackle. You can, but you're not looking to make a tackle. You're looking to slow things down. Because what they want to do is they want to get the ball up the pitch as quickly as possible. So we're looking to delay. We want these to reset. We want our back 3 like that. We want our wing backs to come back here, so that then we've got 6 players back. And it's not 6 players back in the sense that everybody else usually goes for 6 players back, but that is how we want to do it. So little bit of tips for you in the offensive third, a little bit of tips for you in the defensive third. Hopefully that helps. Let's go and look in FC26 at why I've picked certain roles and why it works. So now we've heard a little bit about the history, and we've gone on the tactical board and we've seen how this should be played. Let's dive into FC26, look at the formation and the roles, why I've picked them and why it works. So as you can see here, we're in a 3-4-2-1, balanced build-up style, balanced defensive approach. You might be asking me, why a 3-4-2-1, not a 3-4-3 or a 5-2-3? 5-2-3 is dead simple. The left back and the right back don't get far enough forward. Even on attacking wing back attack, they were holding around the halfway line. They just weren't getting involved enough. So that's why we didn't pick that one. And then for a 3-4-3, the reason we didn't go for that is because the left wing and right wing sit far too wide and hold their width too much, even on inside forward attack, where they should be a lot narrower, which doesn't really allow for the left mid and right mid to overlap. They try and underlap, and it looks a mess. It doesn't look like what we're trying to create here. So we've gone for a 3-4-2-1 because the cams naturally sit in those half spaces, which allows for the left mid and right mid to overlap. But not only that, because the cams are in those half spaces, that is the natural channel to defend as well for the left mid and right mid. And then those half spaces are covered by the cams, so you can press the half spaces, which is good. So that's why we picked 3-4-2-1. Defensive approach is on 60. That is because Conte's Chelsea sat in a mid block. They didn't high press. They didn't sort of sit off and create a low block. It was just a mid block with situational pressing. Diego Costa was often running around like a madman. And occasionally, Pedro would get there. But realistically, we were looking to trap wide. So we're trying to force them wide, force the crosses, because we've got 3 centre-backs in there. And with those 3 centre-backs, you can get that heading away. So that's why we've gone for 60 depth. Now, if we look at the roles, sweeper keeper balance for the keeper. This is before the age of the ball-playing keeper, playing out from the back all the time. That wasn't happening too much. Courtois was a great goalkeeper, probably the best in the league that season. And the reason that Thibaut Courtois' sweeper keeper balance is because he was comfortable coming out to claim balls. He was comfortable playing the ball, but it wasn't quite stepping into defence like you see with modern goalkeepers today. Left centre-back, we've got defender-defend. That was the Gary Cahill role. Now, Cahill, incredible game reader. He was incredible at playing the ball out from the back. Little bit slow, and so was a little bit more limited as to where he could go pushing forward and that kind of thing. So defender-defend, nice and simple. Keeps it very, very safe at that left-hand side. On the right back, we've got defender balanced. This is more Azpilicueta. Now, Azpilicueta did occasionally step into midfield and venture a little further forward. So that's why we've got him on defender balanced. And then ball playing defender defend for the centre-back. Now, this is David Luiz. Pretty much as close to a true libero as we've seen for a long time. He covered, he swept behind, he also stepped into midfield to aid progression. This is going to be your main point of progression when you lead from the back. So you're going to want to get it into that central centre-back. Now, if they're going to press you and get onto that central centre-back, you've immediately got an option in the middle. If they're going to use a wide midfielder to come and close off the other centre-backs, then you've got a long ball out to the left or to the right. So you need a player here that's going to be great at passing the ball, nice long passing, nice short passing, nice vision, but also quite comfortable on the ball. So if you can get a decent dribbling player here, that would be ideal for you as well. Centre mids, holding ball winning on the right, that's the Kante role. We've gone holding ball winning because they are going to aggressively look to intercept passing lanes. That is Kante all over. He was all over the place. He would occasionally get involved in the attack, but more often than not, he was just looking to be a destroyer, close out that game, and that is what he did incredibly well here for Chelsea. We've then got the deep line playmaker on build-up. This is the Matic role. Now, Matic is one of those players that was often boxed in as being a midfield destroyer. In this season, he was given a lot more freedom to show his range of passing and his ability on the ball. This led to him having his most productive season in terms of goals and assists out of any season that he's played in his career. So Conte gave him a little bit more freedom because he knew he had Kante alongside him. The reason, again, that Chelsea could play this formation and have two centre mids when a lot of teams pack the midfield with three, the reason for that is because Kante could do the job of 2 or 3 players. He was everywhere. So in this slot, in this right centre mid slot, it's super key. You have somebody with an incredible engine and somebody that can get about. You want intercept, you want relentless. You probably want a ping pass or a tiki-taka in there as well. Kobe Mainoo from the season pass, who I've got in here in my gauntlet squad, incredibly good for that. Your left midfielder is going to be on wide midfielder support. Now, one thing that to note here is there is not a lot of wide midfielder plus or plus pluses in the game. So you're probably going to have to use somebody off role here. However, I would use somebody that was primarily a left back because this is the more defensive of your 2 wing backs. This is where Marcos Alonso sat. Because Marcos Alonso was naturally a left back, it meant that he was more capable in the defensive side, and so Conte basically allowed him to go forward, but said to him, we want you to get back. Wide midfielder support, if we hit the activity map, shows that they get passing and defensive support. They stay wide to facilitate that play, but they will support possession when needed. They will also provide defensive support when needed. So they'll get up and down, and they will also form that back 5 in defence. The right mid, we're going for winger balanced. This was Victor Moses. And Victor Moses was a natural high right winger. Not a lot of great output from Victor Moses over the years, to be honest. A little bit of a failed wonder kid. But Conte saw something. He saw the engine. He saw the physical gifts that he got and thought, you know what? He'd be an incredible right wing back. So we've gone winger balanced here because they will get back. They will balance that defensive and attacking support. But with winger balance, they will get much further forward and support those attacking moves. That's what we want from the right mid. Right cam, we've got playmaker balance. This is Pedro. Now, Pedro was equally happy coming deep to receive the ball, getting forward, going wide for a cross, all these sorts of things. And with playmaker on balance, it allows them to get into the spaces that are free. And I think that's what Pedro did really well. If you can get somebody in here with a 5-star weak foot that's comfortable cutting in and going outside, that would be ideal for you because that's exactly what Pedro did for Chelsea. Incredibly capable off either foot. Absolutely no problem on either. Left cam, we've gone shadow striker attack. This is the Hazard role. Now, unfortunately, we cannot replicate a free role in FC26 in the new tactic system. However, one thing Eden Hazard was incredibly good at this season was driving beyond Costa, because Costa would hold the ball up a lot. He'd be able to play people in with his... because he had quite a good range of passing, Diego Costa, for a big guy. So Diego Costa would often be that sort of like pivot point in the attack, and you'd see Hazard making these diagonal runs in behind, going past the striker, either being able to cross it in for Pedro or going in for it himself. So we've gone shadow striker attack, and the reason for that is they just sort of play in the hole, they get themselves forward, and also they'll make those runs into the box. Costa himself, advanced forward attack. I was toying with target forward for a while, but also Costa did make those sort of left and right runs, didn't stay in the centre all too much. So this allows for them to drop off a little bit, make themselves open for passes, also to be able to play others in. So here, if you can get somebody that's big, think a Lukaku, think, if you're on a bigger budget, somebody like a Zlatan, somebody that's going to be able to hold the ball up, keep their back to goal, and play in, your Pedros, your Hazards, those sort of cams. And even sometimes you'll see the wide midfielders going like that, and you can hold the ball up and just dink it out. You want somebody that's capable in all phases of play, that's a bit quick, that's got that ability to do a bit of everything. So that is the tactic itself, and that is how it looks in FC26. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this one. I've really enjoyed putting the video together. I've tried something a little bit different today with the, with the history, giving you a little bit of insight into how it works. And also, not only that, we're looking at, the tactical board and all that sort of stuff. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a little bit of a longer one, but I hope you've had fun. I will see you on Friday for the Champs stream and next Thursday for a full gameplay breakdown. So until then, have a great one, and I'll see you then.